Hey, what's up guys? So another camping trip adventure for me and the girlfriend here. And for this weekend, actually it's Labor Day weekend, we're gonna go ahead and check out a place called Riverside Campground, which is actually located in Whistler. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, I mean probably unfamiliar, but Whistler is very, very well known for their ski and snow resort. But the one thing that I didn't actually realize is that Whistler is actually very, very popular among mountain bikers as well, because generally speaking, a winter resort, once the winter season's over, they will go ahead and convert their, I mean, not really convert, but they'll go ahead and transition to the summer season where they have a lot of like mountain biking. So you take the lift up and basically ride down the mountain with your mountain bike. So it's actually a really, really cool thing if you've never done that before. And it's always something that I've always wanted to try and do. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the campground that we're staying in first. So I had mentioned earlier that we are staying at a place called Riverside Campground, which is basically not that much further from Whistler Village. It's like another mile or 2 miles away from the actual Whistler Village itself. And I have to say that the campground has really, really exceeded my expectations actually, because it's a really, really nice campground. And what I mean by that is that they have a lot of basically the full amenities. They have shower stalls, they have the bathroom, they have potable water, and they also have Wi-Fi too actually, believe it or not. And it's not only just a campground for tents actually, so there's an area where you have like RV camping, they have cabin camping, but they also have really, they have like yurts, right? I mean, I can't really describe a yurt other than just go ahead and Google what a yurt looks like, but it's a really, really cool experience if you guys haven't had a chance to really do that. And I do want to mention that, you know, when we made initial reservations for this campground, we did it at about July, like towards the end of July, just trying to figure out what we can do for the Labor Day weekend. And due to the fact that summer's almost here, people are trying to get their last minute camping out of their system. And so a lot of the sites were already booked up, and we ended up finding this site, which is actually not a bad, place to find in and of itself. The campground site price is about $47.75, and this is Canadian dollars, I believe. So a little bit pricey for a campground site, but otherwise it works out pretty well. And unfortunately, slightly interesting story is that last night we came at our campground at about 12:30. So what we ended up doing is just basically sleeping in our cars. And we actually had a really cool setup where we had our air mattress just in the back of the Subaru Outback. Fit both of us perfectly, and it worked out. And a couple of things I want to mention is that I did end up buying, let me show you. I did end up buying this thing called Pure Outdoor, not sponsored by the way, I just want to show it off just because the fact that, the jet boil, right? Jet boils are pretty expensive. They're like $150, $200 depending on I guess what kind of jet boil you bought. But that particular brand that I bought, I paid for about $40. It was on sale at mono price, third-party jet boil, but it actually works out really, really well. And so I'm really excited to use that. I did make fantastic, fantastic coffee, so I'm not gonna regret that. But other than that, as far as today is concerned, today's gonna be the only day. I say only day because tomorrow, according to the Google Weather app, it's gonna be 100% chance of rain. So we're not really gonna get a good experience of just, exploring the other parts of like Whistler outside of like, skiing and snowboarding. But we do have places to visit. So a couple of places that we are gonna visit today are places called Shannon Falls, the Sea to Sky Hike Trail, which is kind of located in the Squamish region. Maybe have some time, we take a look at Brandywine Falls as well as Garibaldi Lake. So before we head out and do that, we're gonna have a little bit of a breakfast, have some coffee, and head out. All right guys, so we finally made it to Shannon Falls first, and I figured we'd go ahead and do this one first, primarily because it's also right next to the C2 Skyline Trailhead. And I do want to mention that, one of the things I love about Whistler is the fact that when you're driving down, whether you're driving up towards Whistler or driving back from Whistler, you just get such a beautiful vantage point of just the surrounding mountains in the area. And I do want to mention that there are a lot of viewpoints you could just stop, park your car, and take a picture. And one of the things that I highly do recommend everyone going to visit is the Tantalus viewpoint, because right across the ridge is a beautiful, beautiful glacier view of Tantalus Mountain. So I highly recommend everyone go ahead and do that. But once you guys make your way up towards Shannon Park or Shannon Falls, I highly recommend don't even bother to go towards Shannon Park, like if GPS is gonna tell you to make a left, go ahead and make that right turn instead, mainly because there's another parking lot area there. Because when we came during the initial, like where GPS told us to go park at Shannon Park parking lot, it was completely backed up to where basically the stoplight was at. So I highly recommend not doing that. Save yourself some time, go ahead and just U-turn if you went ahead and did that, and park across the street, and hopefully you guys find a parking spot there. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way up towards Shannon Falls, which is about a 5-minute basically walk from the parking lot area itself. From there, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the C2 Skyline Trailhead, because right now we're not really too sure where to go based off the map that was provided, because there's a first peak, a second peak, and a third peak, so we're not really too sure if those are coinciding with where we need to go. So we're gonna go ahead and head on over to the See the Skyline gondola and see the actual map itself. All right, guys, so after finishing Shannon Falls, it was kind of like, it was okay. Mainly because the waterfall wasn't as powerful, wasn't as a lot of stream going on, so I kind of felt like it was okay. Maybe in like June, July, it might be better with all the glacier runoff and everything. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and start our See the Summit trail hike. And I do want to mention is that, you know, it's about exploring, right? You could easily take the gondola, go up the mountain, come back the mountain, but you know what? It's about exploring and pushing yourself to the limits. And two, I'm Asian, I don't want to pay that price, because if you saw the price for the day lift to go up and come down, $65 per person Canadian. Don't want to do that, but we'll go ahead and do the ride back down, which is about 20 Canadian, so not too bad. But yeah, so the See the Summit trail hike is about 6.5 kilometers with an 800-meter elevation gain. I did the math, it's about 4 miles going up one way. And I do want to mention, all right, the minute you start this hike, all right, this ain't no Super Mario's level 1-1 stage. It throws you straight to Super Mario level 8.4, whatever, you know, Bowser's Castle last stage. And the minute you basically start heading up towards the trailhead, you're gonna come up to a batch of stairs. And the stair just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. And these stairs are like 90-degree, like, you know, oh my God, one step at a time. So make sure you go ahead and use those handrails and pull yourself up, because you're definitely gonna feel it. And I do wanna say, I'm actually surprised. I'm very, very surprised to see how many people are actually taking this trail all the way up, because it's not an easy trail, right? It's considered a moderate to, you know, moderate to extreme difficulty rating. But it's really nice the fact that it's shaded, so it's not too bad. But so far, so good. We started the hike at about 2:40, and again, average time is about 3 to 5 hours, but we're hoping to get there in about 2.5 hours. I do want to mention is that as we were making our way up, you saw the signs for basically different peaks. There's a peak 1, peak 2, and peak 3. So we're hoping we could go ahead and detour along the way and take a look and see what these other peaks have to offer. But yeah, let's keep going. All right, so we finally made it to the flat part going up those stairs. And I want to say that you're going to come across a little trail post that make you basically allowed to go straight, or you end up going right. The trail that ends up going to the See the Summit is hanging to the right, so make sure you don't miss it, because the trail looks a little ambiguous. It doesn't look like it's an actual trail until you actually like visually look at it, because the main trail looks like it just continues to go up and up and up, and that actually takes you to the first peak, second peak, and third peak, which unfortunately looks like it's going to be opposite direction of where we're actually heading. So we're not going to be able to do the first, second, and third peak, which does look kind of nice based off the trail map, but I mean, the views from the See the Summit should be breathtaking. So we'll take a little break here. And I want to say it took us about half an hour to get past all of those stairs, but it should start leveling out at this point, because again, the elevation gain is about 800 meters, so can't do my math, don't make me do math on camera. It's gonna be about 0.3 miles, 0.4 miles elevation gain going up. But other than that, we're gonna keep going because my little one here needs a little break. All right, guys, so I do want to make a little bit of a clarification. So apparently, all that stair climbing that we just did, apparently that is not where the trail starts, because once we got to the area where we took a break and it forks to either the first peak, second peak, third peak, and heading towards the right takes you to the See the Summit trail, that's where it starts. That's where the 7.5 kilometers starts. So I'm not too sure why at the very, very bottom, you know, before you buy gondola tickets and all that, it does say 6.5 kilometers. Not too sure where that's from, but basically where we started, where we took a break, that is where the 7.5 kilometer starts. And I do want to mention is that, you know, most people were actually heading towards the first peak, second peak, third peak, and not a lot of people, basically it seems like it's just us on this trail so far, started heading, it's the only one doing the Sea to Summit trail. But I do want to say, we did come up to an area where, I mean, you can see behind me, beautiful, beautiful view of whatever lake this is really called, because you can see just how pristine that water is. And if you look carefully enough, there are people just on jet skis, there are people windsurfing, kite surfing, and it's just simply gorgeous. And you see all these people above us, or you know, taking the gondola. They don't know what they're missing, all right? Although this was a very, very challenging hike, it's very, very rewarding. Very, very rewarding. It's just simply magnificent. Really, really cool actually. So as we continue to make our way up towards the Sea to Summit Trail, we ended up coming by, I guess, one of the origins of the Shannon waterfalls. And it's beautiful. Like, look at how there's a majesticness of like the pool, like where the water's coming down and creates a little bit of a pool right there. It's so beautiful. You have like a little bit of a natural water slide right there. And man, I bet you that water can be really, really freezing though. But God, that would just feel really good to just jump in and yeah, just relax. Wow, magnificent. I want to say that this trail so far has been magnificent. It's been totally worth it. And it's kind of like life, right? Like when you think about it, like all the things that are really, really rewarding, the things you get complete satisfaction from, are the things that are just really, really challenging and things that you worked really hard for, right? Kind of similar to this hike. It's pretty challenging, not gonna lie. It's pretty challenging. Going up a bunch of stairs, you're going up a bunch of like scrambled rocks. But it's really, really worth it. Like you come up to this first vantage point, this viewpoint, you get this such gratification, like you did it, you worked really hard to get this beautiful, beautiful view of just the glacial water over there. I'm sorry, I don't know the name. But I do want to mention also that, you know, if you take the gondola, for example, you will be able to go and take a look at the upper Shannon Falls that we had just passed by, and it's gorgeous, like simply gorgeous. So I highly recommend, guys, if you have the energy, if you have the time, and you have the grit, definitely try and make an effort to do the Sea to Skyline Trail because it's just worth it. But yeah, we'll take a little bit of a break at this vantage point, this viewpoint, and just really, you know, just get that feeling we did it, like we did it. So and then before that, we still have, I think, another 2 miles to go. Oh my God, 2 miles to go. All right, guys, so we finally made it. So cheers. Get yourself a nice cold refreshment and just enjoy, sit back, relax, because we deserve it. Well, we finally made it to the top. It took us about 4 hours to get here. So remember, we started about 2:40, and we got here at about 6:40, and give or take 4 hours. I don't want to say that the hike is, again, beautiful, but very, very challenging hike. You know, although the hike said it was about 6.5 kilometers from the bottom, I have no idea where they got the 6.5 kilometers from because that felt like a 5-mile hike. The elevation gain, according to the chart, 800 meters, definitely felt like a 1.5 mile total elevation gain. But otherwise, very satisfying, very rewarding hike that you probably would not get if you were to take the gondola up because, again, one of the things that you are going to be able to see if you do the Sea to Summit, Sea to Sky Trail is that you'll be able to see the upper Shannon Falls river. Very, very gorgeous. And you also get some other panoramic views that you'll probably, I mean, honestly, I guess you'll get the same view if you come up here, but just the satisfaction is different knowing that you worked your way up here to get these awesome panoramic views. So we're gonna go ahead and take a little bit of a break. And again, we bought tickets to come down because I can't imagine anyone wanting to go back down that trailhead. You know, you made it up here, relaxed, and just pay the 20 Canadian dollars to go back down and take the gondola down. But if you see behind me, you got a little bit of a suspension bridge back there. So really, really fantastic. I mean, awesome summit views of the mountains behind us as well. So if you're not afraid of hikes, go ahead and take a look and see. And I do want to mention that, you know, once you come up to a fork, you'll have an option to get to the Shannon Basin Trail, which is a 3.5 kilometers easier hike, or you could go ahead and take the Upper Sea to Sky Trail, which is a 2.5 kilometer hike. We opted for the Upper Sea to Sky limit mainly because it was a shorter hike, right, from 2.5 kilometers or 3.5 kilometers. Pick and choose depending on how tired you guys are. But other than that, we made it. We made it. So we're just gonna sit back, enjoy our drink, walk around a little bit, and just call it a day after that. Cheers. All right, guys, so after doing a more challenging hike yesterday, doing the Sea to Summit trailhead, we want to go ahead and make today a little bit easier. Now, unfortunately, the weather wasn't as good as it was yesterday and ended up raining. But luckily for us, most of the hikes that we were planning to do today were pretty much shaded, pretty much easy to do. The first place we're gonna check out is called Brandywine Falls, which is about 20 to 25 minutes from Whistler Village, or about 25 minutes from where we are located. A little bit about the Brandywine Falls is that, you know, you're going there primarily to look at a waterfall, not so much to really look at the trailhead, but the waterfall, according to the website, it's a 70-meter waterfall, and for those of you who are American who don't understand meters to feet, it is about 230 feet. Yeah, I had to Google that, so I don't really know meters either. But it's a really, really nice hike if you want to look at a waterfall. If you want to look at a more majestic waterfall, because I know yesterday we did Shannon Falls, and it wasn't really a nice waterfall in my opinion, mainly due to the fact that the water just wasn't as powerful coming down the mountainside. But if you want to go ahead and look at a beautiful, majestic waterfall that's coming just from the top, going all the way down to a canyon and kind of flowing through the river, definitely check out Brandywine Falls. And one nice thing that if you continue to make your way down towards from the platform, make your way down a little bit further, you're gonna go ahead and see a nice panoramic view of Daisy Lake. So after visiting Brandywine Falls, we want to go ahead and head back north towards Whistler Village. But before we make our way back to Whistler, there's one detour that we want to go ahead and check out, and it's a place called Trainwreck Trailhead. And the one unique thing about this trailhead is that, let me get some of my coffee, hold on a second. So the one cool thing about the Trainwreck Trailhead is the fact that, you know, when you first start to walk, making your way down towards the trailhead, you're gonna notice some sign that says most difficult to difficult. And we weren't really sure what these indicators meant in the beginning. So we're, of course, you know, being just the fact that we're walking, we took the just the difficult side. There's only two options, guys: most difficult or difficult. And it turns out that this whole area is a mountain bike region. And you're gonna start noticing it once you start making your way down. You're gonna see this little like ramp, like wooden ramp that takes you from like a rocky area to like just down. I'm not really familiar with the terminologies for mountain biking, but it's really amazing to see that these mountain bikers would go down these really sharp declines because it just looks really, really steep and really, really bumpy. But hey, I mean, power to these mountain bikers, right? But if you continue to make your way down towards the trail, you're gonna eventually come by some train tracks. And if you continue to go forward, it should be pretty straightforward. Just go forward. You're gonna start seeing what's known as the train wreck. And there are about 5 or 6 different train wrecks that you can basically go ahead and see. And the story behind this is that I think back in 1956, there was some issue with the train, with obviously the train. And what they had to do was basically discard, and just because of the fact that they had to go ahead and save some time, they just picked up the train and just threw it over the ridge, basically, or threw it over the train tracks, and hence that's where they laid it down. But lots of graffiti. I mean, a nice kind of graffiti. But also one thing I noticed is that this place is actually known for mountain bikers as well. So if you look at one of the train wreck trains, I guess, I'm not really too sure what it's called, one of the trains, you'll see that it has a ramp at the top, and you drop in from the bottom. So apparently you have to somehow make your way on the top of the train, jump over and land and continue doing your mountain bike region. So it's actually really, really fascinating. Don't forget that they do also have another suspension bridge, which is really fun. It goes over towards the Brandywine, I assume it's part of the Brandywine River, and eventually ends up towards Brandywine Falls. You get a really nice vantage point, especially if you stand right in the middle of the bridge. You just get beautiful water coming towards you, or in this case, turning away from you. So really nice. But also, if you guys are really into mountain biking, you should probably go ahead and check out the Trailhead mountain bike path. It looks like it's pretty much for experts only because everything here looks ridiculously challenging and ridiculously hard. So after visiting the Trailhead Trailhead, we wanted to go ahead and start making our way up towards Whistler because there wasn't much anything else to do right now because the weather was just raining. It wasn't very convenient for us to be up and about checking out other trailheads. But if you guys have never been to Whistler Village before, go ahead and check it out. It's a nice little area where you can just pretty much hang out, take a look at some shops, and actually they are known for their coffee, actually, guys. So if you guys really love your coffee and if you guys really like your ice cream, definitely check out Whistler Village. And I do want to say that the unfortunate thing here is that parking is pretty much you have to pay everywhere you go. There's one lot though, if you go from it's more towards the north side of Whistler, northeast I believe. Parking lots 1 through 5 is basically where they have essentially their universal parking. And after 5 o'clock, it's pretty much free. So if you guys come before 5 o'clock, you're basically paying about $3.25 Canadian an hour. So ideally, if you guys come after 5 o'clock. But some of the cool shops that we ended up checking out was a restaurant called Caramba. And one of the reasons why we ended up choosing this place is because they are apparently known for their grilled calamari, which is really good because it comes with an aioli sauce. It pairs really well. And their pizzas were pretty good as well. But there are a lot of other restaurants that you guys could go ahead and enjoy because remember, Canada is all about their poutine. So if you guys want some good classic poutine, go ahead and find some other restaurants over in Whistler Village to find some poutine. And again, I mentioned that coffee is really prevalent in Whistler Village. And if you go and just do a quick Google map, there's a lot of good high star review coffee shops. But the one place that we ended up going to was a place called Mogul's Coffee Shop, which is right next to the Olympic Rings symbols area. And what I ended up getting was the dark cafe mocha because it's not very common that you see dark chocolate mocha, and this was really good. But because of the weather, it was cold, rainy, not comfortable. They're actually known for their maple frappuccinos. So if you guys are interested in getting some of that, maple syrup with frappuccino, really good. And one last place I highly recommend everyone going is going to a place called Pure Breads. And every time I come here, whether it's pretty much in the winter time, there's always a line. And the fact that we got there around 4 o'clock, again, there was still a line. But if you go ahead and take a look at some of their offerings and their pastry dishes and their croissants and all that, it looks really unique as far as their pastries, right? It just looks really good. So highly recommend if you guys are interested in getting some dessert afterwards, go ahead and check out Pure Breads. And of course, they have ice cream. And one of the places that most people end up going to is a place called Cow's Ice Cream. If you just take a look at their menu, can't really go wrong with that, So after just shoving ourselves with food and gourmet coffee drinks, we want to go ahead and just kind of walk around the Olympic Village some more and take some pictures at the Olympic Rings. And the one cool thing is that as we were making our way out, the sky started clearing up. So I'm like, you know what? Let's take this opportunity to check out some more places. And one other place that I did want to check out was a place called Rainbow Lake, the Rainbow Trailhead. Rainbow Lake, Rainbow Trail are actually two different things, so make sure you get that correct. Rainbow Trailhead, which is only about a 7-minute drive from Whistler Village. And the hike to get to the waterfall, or I guess you could call it a little bit of a waterfall to a cascades to Rainbow Trailhead is only about a 10 to 15-minute walk. And I do want to say is that the markers for this trailhead is not obvious at all. There's no pretty much marker that says go here, because you want to make sure that you don't end up going to the trailhead loop. So what we ended up doing is as we started making our way up, and there's this one area where you kind of make your way down, or you could continue to make a hook. And there's an area where you could go down, or there's an area you kind of make a little bit of a switchback. I would highly recommend just going down towards the water, because if you continue to make your way, it's just gonna go ahead and take you to a stop, and that's where you get a beautiful view of the, I guess you call it a rainbow waterfall. So instead of going all the way up, and I think there is a bridge if you continue to make your way up towards the trailhead, but we just didn't really want to go ahead and do that. We got a good view of the rainbow waterfall, so I figured, you know what, good enough. And the last place that we want to go ahead and check out while we were getting some actual sunset now, right? Clouds are gone. We got a little bit of sun coming in. The sunset colors are coming in. Is go ahead and take a look at Green Lake, which is again not too far from Rainbow Trailhead. Again, drive another 5 minutes north along the mountains. And there's gonna be an area where you can just go ahead and park your vehicle, go ahead and stop and just really enjoy the majestic, beautiful like glacier water. It's so nice to see this turquoise blue, this water. It's pretty. I can't really describe it any way other than majestic and awesome. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for our Whistler camping trip. But I do want to say that I normally come to Whistler primarily to go snowboarding and skiing, of course, but I've never actually seen Whistler in the summertime. And I want to say that I really want to come back again because there's a lot of other places that we haven't actually checked out. Because one thing I noticed on the map is that there is an area not too far from here, actually. It's about a 20 to 30 minute drive. I'm even going to take a look at my map for a second. So as I was looking at the map, there's an actual glacier not too far from here. Unfortunately, it does require a little bit of a hike, and it's called Wedgemount Lake. And I wasn't too sure. I didn't really get a description of how challenging this hike could be, but based off the map, it doesn't look like it's going to be too long, maybe about a 4 to 5 mile hike, maybe less if I'm mistaken. But if you look at the pictures, it's simply magnificent. There's actually a glacier in the back if you continue to make your way up. And there's just a bunch of other hikes around the area that I really want to go ahead and check out. And of course, next time, actually, I want to go ahead and try one of their mountain biking trails here at the Whistler Mountain. Because I've always been, I kind of like riding bikes, but again, Whistler is primarily known for mountain bikers, and there's a ton of mountain bikers people that come here just to mountain bike. So I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to do that as well next time, possibly next year. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe button, and I really hope you guys do check out Whistler because it's really nice in the wintertime, but also in the summertime. So, all right, guys, take care.